the one relationship English-speaking people have with tone is in music. They know that the way you say the word is important in song. So now is the same thing in Igbo. Now, what do you hear often when a lot of foreigners hear our language? Oh, it sounds like music. Oh, it sounds like that person singing. So if you step outside, way outside, you can hear that musicality. But we who speak it every day, it's so natural that we don't even think about it. We don't even think about it, you know? And so, yeah, that's what we focus on Igbo too, is learning that song, learning to sing the language. And like you said, with Igbo language, right? If you say the way you say something, your emotion in saying something changes the meaning, and that emotion is important, right? So, and one of the things we always emphasize too at the Igbo 2 level is that when you speak the language, use your body, use your voice, you open your mouth. You don't when you speak English. You use everything. You open your mouth. You feel free. You understand? Because all of that is going to let you act out the word. So you know the meaning. You know your name changes meaning based on your mother's emotion because she's going to put the emotion in the language. You understand? So no, it's interesting you pointed that out because that was actually one of the things that as of this week is being focused on. Good.
Thank you for that. All right. Now, somebody that wants to learn Igbo language, what do you recommend that the person should start from?
Yes. So my natural instinct as an Igbo man would be to come to my language school, right? But if somebody...
Yeah, talk more about that language school, how people can connect you, how people can get there, what they can benefit. Sure. Tell more about it. Yeah, it's your time. Advertise it.
Yeah, the first thing I want to do is for those who maybe can't afford to give them options, and then I'll talk more about the language. So if you cannot afford, or like maybe it's just not convenient for you at the time, and you want to start learning the language, the best thing to do is find somebody who speaks the language, who's willing to just have conversation. And preferably somebody roughly your age, and preferably somebody of the same gender. All of these things are important, and it helps you transfer language faster. Listening to audios is also good. Listening to people who like audio, especially if you have the written like transcript, that's also a very good tool. And then lastly, I learned the language, of course, when I was at home. I lost it when I was in America, so I'm in the process of regaining it, relearning it. And one of the things that helped me is that I'm very passionate about like hip hop. I love music, right, and the culture and everything. So I would translate some of my favorite songs in Igbo in my head, and it was extremely difficult. But once they figured out how to do it, it was fun. It was like a game, and that helped me learn a lot of new words, right? So those are things that you can try. Now, as far as Gedu.me, so if you go to www.gedu.me, you can sign up with Gedu. At the very bottom of the front page, there is a survey. And that survey is going to let us know what level you're at in case you're not sure what level to sign up at. Now, with Gedu, we have Asusu Igbo 1. Igbo 1 is you just don't speak the language, period, right? You can't hear it, you can't say it, nothing. Just don't have it. So that's Igbo 1. It's designed for somebody at that level. Igbo 2 is maybe you can hear, but you can't speak. Or maybe you can speak, but don't like the way you sound, or your accent is rough, or maybe you don't feel confident in speaking, that kind of thing. Just like you have elements of the language, but there's the fundamentals are missing. That's Igbo 1. And then somebody who wants to reach like an academic proficiency, right? So I'd say I can speak English at academic proficiency. Somebody wants to do that, that's Igbo level 3. But if you don't know what level you're at, there's a survey, and then there we recommend, right? So the way Gedu works, that makes it work, that makes it effective, because we have people who, no exaggeration, have never heard the language before, maybe say the medicine shell, or maybe they've dabbled with things here and there, like things fall apart, they heard terms and music, right? Afrobeats is big now, that kind of thing. They've heard terms here, but don't know the language. And they're speaking, right now they're speaking after 3 months. Well, some of the people I'm referring to are on 4 because they signed up for a second session, right? But they're speaking now. They can speak the language in 3 months. And the reason they're able to do that is because, again, the method I developed is very specific. What is the specifics of it? Right? I'm going to give it to you because I want people to copy. I want everybody to do this, right? The specifics of the method is you are paired with an instructor. Your instructor is going to give you pieces of the language. You're going to just isolate and dissect. Because remember, again, it's a mathematical language. So if I learned the word me, M-E, right, is do, right? Me, that word, M-E, is do. And then from there, if I throw different letters in front of it, they become different words. Different. I can use them in all these different ways. Omume is your movement, that kind of thing. Just different examples like that. And that is like your present state action. So dissecting it piece by piece by piece. And then you have a coach. Your coach is somebody who you and them determine, okay, we're going to talk 2 times a week. We're going to talk 1 time a week. We're going to talk every single day that we can talk. And your coach calls you or you call your coach and then you guys just have a normal conversation. Nothing academic. Oh, wow. Work is stressing me out today. Okay, I'm tired of being single. I'm about to do this Tinder app. You just have a normal conversation, right? And the pairing of those 2 things creates a situation where you learn the language very fast, right? So all that is at www.gedu.com. This is a method that I've developed with about 2 years of research into language itself. And then, of course, pairing the students with just phenomenal teachers. Right now, our coach is Uju. Uju is there's not a topic in the world that Uju can't comfortably sit down and talk to you in.
We believe that everyone has a story to share. We believe in the power of storytelling in today's digital economy. Yes, we believe that our audience need to be touched at the level of emotion so we can better engage. What about you? Do you believe in storytelling as much as we do? Do you want to reach the hearts and minds of your audience? Then join us in our online training class, Storytelling for Content Creators and Digital Entrepreneurs. Come to obehi1food.com/storytelling and learn how to leverage your storytelling skills so you can earn more as a content creator and digital entrepreneur. Storytelling is a powerful instrument at our disposal. Let's explore it together. See you in the class.
And so forth. When people sign up for Kedu, it's funny because they always go, okay, maybe I'll do coaching once a week, and they talk to her twice, and all of a sudden they want to do it 5 days. You understand? And then, of course, our instructor, Chimezie, who is a folklorist, so has a very rich and intimate understanding of the language on a cosmological level, on a historical level, all these different things. Just brilliant. So I make sure that that's the quality of teacher and coach that I pair people with. And so forth. So, yeah.
It is important that we've talked about the language, people know where to go so they can improve their language. They can learn it. Why not? Even other people can come to the school and learn the language, correct?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Okay. So it's open for everybody. I never anticipated it to be an entirely Igbo project, Igbo, right? At this point, who knows who's who. But it's an entirely Igbo project. So about typically 30 to 40% of our students are non-Igbo people. And when I say non-Igbo people, I mean like what the casual person referred to as an Igbo person, which is, if it's diaspora, then like 1 or 2 generations removed. But I consider people who are descendants of slavery as no different from myself as far as being a person or whatever group that they identify with, right? Because, what's my son gonna say? His grandfather came from Nigeria. So then how's he? You know what I mean? If they don't count, my son doesn't count. That doesn't make any sense, right? That type of thing. So, but yeah, typically about 30 to 40% of the people have honestly never heard the Igbo language before.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Now, what would be your final thought here in the conversation that we had today? We have talked, of course, the beauty of our language, Igbo language in this case. Of course, we also dabble into a few things related to the language, of course, because like we already established here, in Africa, nothing exists in isolation. Everything is connected. So if we are talking of language, suddenly we are talking also of other things, no? That is very important. I don't want to go into the philosophy of that in my language too, because that is how it is. It's general in Africa, no? So, what would be your conclusion to terminate the conversation?
Yeah. So again, my primary thing is I am a researcher. Um, I'm a student teacher, so I'm constantly learning about Igbo spirituality, cosmology, culture, everything, and bringing it forward on the medicine show. And I'll say this 100 times: my number one resource is language. When we're talking about the recording of history, things like that, what is very nice about our languages in Africa is that, and I'm going to ask you a question, I'm sure yours is going to be the same, is that if you want anything you want to learn, it's already encoded in the language, right? It's already there in the language. You don't need to, very little verification needs to be done, right? If I say Sharpie, Sharpie, I mean, it's what it is. That's how history is, culture, everything is done in our language. It's all right there. It's all just right there. So when somebody explains the topic and then you say the words, like, oh yeah, duh, that's specifically saying, right? I'll ask you this. Have you noticed that oftentimes when people at home are trying to argue or explain culture, they will use the word as proof? Do you understand what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
say, like if they're trying to, I'm trying to think of an example. I'm trying to think of an example. So if they say, uh, I'm trying to think of an example. Okay, like Equinsu, for example. I'll use like Equinsu. Equinsu is used to translate as devil by the church people. You understand? But we know that there's another meaning to Equinsu. And Equinsu literally says, Equinsu, what you will happen. What you will happen. This doesn't sound like the devil. This now
No,
sounds
no.
like something else. But when people get into this argument, what does Equinsu mean? The person with sense will typically go, Gamunti. You understand? Listen to me. Equinsu, Equinsu, what you will happen. And then now all of a sudden, okay, maybe that doesn't devil, maybe it means something else. What does it mean? Then we now talk about it. Oftentimes when we start discussing, the West will go, okay, cite your sources. You go get the paper and you'll go find the little thing according to David Milton, that kind of thing. The way we do it at home is we'll often take the word itself. You know what I'm saying? Like the word itself, because our languages are not buried by layers. English is buried by layers of colonialism, right? It's Germanic, and then there was a Norse period, so that buries things. And then there's, of course, the Greek and the Roman. And so when somebody says something like macrophage, if I don't know, I want to say Greek or Latin. I mean, I want. If I don't know that language, I have to now go to the dictionary. Macrophage is when a large cell begins eating or a smaller cell or whatever the hell it is, right? But the word macrophage literally means big eater in Latin, but it could be Greek. I'm not sure. It means big eater, right? Now in English, because there's these layers of colonialism, right? These layers of whatever. Had you just said that in English, you wouldn't need to explain to me it means big eater. But then that's how African languages are. We still have this advantage. This is why I think it's important to preserve our languages. We still have this advantage where the word means exactly what it's saying. I don't need to start learning this one and that one to figure things out. So that if we begin now teaching in our languages, if we begin applying using, because once we start doing science and technology, we switch to English. Once we start fixing a car, we switch to English, right? If we go to these English words themselves, especially the Latin and the Greek, these two languages, Latin and Greek, have this advantage where they're saying the thing straight, like straightforward. Construction. You have to explain to a 4-year-old what construction is, right? But if I just said what construction actually means in English, which is building a thing, it's a Latin sentence that says building a thing. That's all it is. So instead of saying construction, I can just say building a thing, and then the little kid knows exactly what I'm saying. Well, our African languages still have that advantage. So they're optimal for teaching. They're optimal for understanding ourselves. They're optimal for understanding the world around us. Do you understand? And then for those in diaspora, you'll be very surprised at where the African language pops up in your own culture, be you Caribbean, North American, South American, or in Europe. A good example is we had a student, we were talking about the word like Igbo is big. And then, so if I say boof, something, boof, that means that it has grown to the point of uselessness. You understand? And then we had one student, she's a Jamaican origin, started laughing. And she's like, Jamaica, we say boof to like when somebody's like super fat or like when somebody is just like a big, like, you understand, just like an insult. That's boof. You understand? People always say, oh yeah, boof.
Thank you so much for the conversation. I really appreciate it. It really have been very valuable, just like the last time. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
As always, anytime you want to talk, I'm here. And of course, continue the work you're doing. Like I said last time, I watch your videos pretty regularly. I need to catch up on some because you pump them out so fast. I'm falling far, far, far behind, but you've got some really interesting people and topics, and thank you for having this platform.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you also for what you're doing. We love it. Thank you so much.